the operation of an office for Jennifer's Cleaning at 621 North Walnut Avenue in Republic, Missouri. Karen or Chris, one of you going to speak on this? Give us your report.
All right, I'll be speaking on this, Commissioner Ellis. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So Jennifer Wood has applied for a special use permit for her cleaning service office in a residential district located at 621 North Walnut Avenue. The subject property of this application is identified as 621 North Avenue, and it's comprised of 0.17 acres of land. It's zoned medium density single family residential, R1M. The lot is currently occupied by a single family residential dwelling of about 624 square feet. The property borders residential dwellings to the north, medium density single family, and the west, two family residential. To the south is Villars Automotive Center, local commercial zoned, and the Village Green Square Shopping Center is across the street to the east, which is local commercial C1. The applicant has requested a special use permit which will allow the use of an existing single-family residential dwelling as an administrative office for their cleaning business. The city's special user permit ordinance, section 405.670, authorizes upon approval of the city council uses which are otherwise prohibited by the subject zoning district, provided appropriate conditions and safeguards are imposed to protect the public welfare and to conserve and protect property and property values in the neighborhood. Special use permits may be issued for commercial offices in residential districts which are associated with low traffic volumes, such as accounting, architecture, drafting, engineering, law, and associated professional consulting services. The applicant will be required to have a valid business license on file with the city prior to allowing business to be conducted at this location. Regarding the availability of municipal water and sewer service, the site is currently served by the City of Republic Water and Sanitary Sewer Services. The approval of a special use for a cleaning service office at the subject property will allow no new connections to existing water and sanitary sewer lines currently serving the property at the present time. An 8-inch water main is currently serving the property and is running north and south along Walnut. The water flow is sufficient for commercial office, institutional development on the subject property. An 8-inch gravity sewer main serves the property flowing to the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant also currently has capacity to serve this change in use. The duration of the special use permit, were it approved, would remain valid until a change in use or ownership occurred on the property. Changes in use or ownership void the special use permit. Furthermore, the property owner is required to maintain the residential character of the home, and any improvements made to the property must also meet the criteria of maintaining its residential character. Design review for improvements would occur during the review phase of the building permit application process. Regarding the capacity for transportation infrastructure, the subject parcel has a single access point on Walnut Avenue usable for residential purposes. The access point is opposite to one of two parking lot entrances that serve Village Green Square from North Walnut Avenue. The second access point for Village Green Square along Walnut Avenue is about 36 feet to the south. Walnut Street is designated by the major thoroughfare plan as a local road. Local roads feed the collectors and are intended for low volume, low speed traffic. The primary function of the local classification is provision of access to abutting property. The secondary function is to provide traffic flow and movement. The major thoroughfare plan design standards require a street width of 28 feet and a right-of-way of 50 feet for local roads. Walnut Street at this location has a width of approximately 20 feet. Impact on the transportation network is evaluated by the city engineer through trip generation standards provided by the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. These standards include uses and associated number of trips generated by these uses. The city engineer has identified the trip generation for a small professional office up to 1,500 square feet to be up to 26 trips per day. The trip generation for a single-family residential dwelling is about 10 trips per day. A small professional office is defined as a small building with an office housing a single tenant equal to or less than 5,000 square feet in size. It is a location where business, commercial, or industrial organizations or professional people or firms conduct business. That's the definition of this use in the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. Regarding the floodplain, the subject parcel does not contain a special flood hazard area. Sinkholes, the subject parcel does not contain any identifiable sinkholes on the property. All developments must include site design providing sufficient emergency vehicle access as well as fire protection facilities. Additional elements of code compliance evaluated at the time of the development proposal, which will impact the development of the subject property, include but are not limited to the city's zoning regulations, adopted fire code, and adopted building code. Staff recommends the approval of the proposed special use permit for Jennifer Wood at 621 North Walnut Avenue with the following conditions. First, the special use shall provide sufficient off-street parking spaces to contain all parked vehicles associated with the special use. Second, parking provided by the special use must be of residential character.
Okay. At this point, we move to the applicant. Is the applicant present? Chris, is the applicant on?
I'm not seeing her for sure. If she is, she's not named. No, I don't believe she's on here, no.
Okay. Well, then we'll go to all those persons in favor of the application. Any person that is in favor of the application, raise your hand so that up in front of your face so we can see. And then Chris will unmute you one at a time.
If you would just turn your camera on so we could see you and raise your hand if you're in favor.
Nobody responding?
I have a question before I vote.
Hold on a minute.
I don't
Randy,
believe we have anyone wanting to speak in favor, but we do have someone that would like to speak against the application.
okay, well, you guys have to tell me that because I can't see it.
Sure, I have a statement I'd like to read that someone has offered up that could not be here tonight.
Is it for or against? Or can you tell?
It's against.
Okay,
It's
well,
against.
let's finish with the pros. If there's anybody that's in favor, I'm not hearing you say that anybody signified that. So if that's the case, we'll move to now anyone who is opposed to the proposal, to the application. And go ahead, Chris, identify what you have and read it for the record.
I was offered this statement by Donald and Deborah Seaman, who live at 642 North College Avenue on January 4th, 2021. The statement reads as follows. I am concerned that the business will create a strain on the neighborhood. I have seen similar things happen elsewhere and would not like to see that here. I would like the commission to take into account that the business may grow over time and this would increase its effect on the neighborhood. End of statement.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak opposed to this application? You all have to be my eyes because I can't see them.
No, I'm not seeing anyone who would like to speak in opposition.
All right. Given that, I'm going to close the hearing at this point. Randy, you had a question?
Well, my question is, will they doing any type of cleaning that's going to bring contaminants to the sewer system where they can dump them down the toilet or bathtub.
Okay, now's the time to ask those questions because we're starting our discussion. So, Chris, can you all answer that?
Jennifer Wood's service is a house cleaning service. She has about 2 or 3 people currently working for her. This site will serve as an office where they'll come in the morning and get their jobs. Some minor household cleaning chemicals may be stored on site and taken and loaded into, the employee's car at that time. There's nothing that's going to be disposed of beyond what would normally be disposed of in a residential area.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a comment or ask questions on this?
Yeah, I would. You said in your reading that there'll be off-site parking or needed to be off-site parking. Where would that be on this road?
The condition is crafted so that this house has a driveway. Currently, that's a gravel driveway. She has an intention. She's spoken to that she'd like to make an improvement to the driveway. The idea of this condition is that, like any house, she'll be required to serve as the parking area for all of the people who use the house. So you'll have parking very similar to a regular driveway, what you would see in a residence. She'll not be allowed to park on the street with any vehicles, and whatever parking does occur there has to be in line with a residence, so it has to be a driveway.
So a violation of that could result in a rescindance of the special permit.
I don't know how we would I don't know that we would exactly immediately rescind a permit, but it would be in violation of a condition of the permit.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
We had in that statement, it said they were worried about the traffic. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we approved that a special use permit not too long ago there on Elm and Lynn, I think it was, for the house that was a commercial or something like that. Did that place specifically add any traffic now that we have some data on that possibly? I mean, is it actually adding traffic to that road or is it, I'm just curious.
To address that, I don't believe that we've done any studies since that business has moved into that location. But I can tell you, I don't believe that we've seen any increase in concern with that particular intersection or that area of Lynn or Elm Street due only to that business being located at that intersection.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make motion to approve.
Second.
The application for the special use permit to Jennifer Wood for the operation of an office for her cleaning service at 621 North Walnut Avenue in Republic. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Well said. I'm assuming you're recommending that the motion contain the 2 conditions that were suggested.
Yes.
Okay. Do your second.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Commissioner Hahn? Commissioner Hahn? Okay, you may have lost him. I'll come back. Commissioner Phelps? Commissioner Phelps,
Aye.
Commissioner Patterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Crosby,
Aye.
Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Hahn. Aye.
Joining us now.
It looks like he's coming back online. We'll give him just a moment.
Sorry, my internet dropped or something.
Thank you, Kevin. I was calling roll. Did you
Yeah.
hear the motion in the second?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the second hearing. REZN, Rezone 20-007. Public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 0.22 acres from agricultural and 18.97 acres from general commercial C2, located northeast of the northeastern right-of-way line of the Missouri State Road 360 to light industrial M1.
Thank you.
Do I have it? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Is this one yours, Karen?
Morlock Family Limited Partnership has again applied for the zoning classification change. There are two separate parcels. The small parcel to the northwest you'll see is the 0.22 acres, and the large parcel is the 18.97 acres. The small parcel is zoned agricultural, while the larger parcel is zoned general commercial. They are requesting a zoning classification change to M1, which is the light industrial manufacturing district. Total acreage is 19.19 acres. The property is currently vacant. The city's technical review team reviews all rezoning applications. There are several items that I will go through with you on this particular zoning change. We do review the application in context with the city's comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan does generally encourage the expansion of commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. We define land at appropriate locations as the relationship of land at these locations in relation to the infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of use. The plan also describes the future land use map known as the flume. In this case, the flume depicts the subject property as having a neighborhood commercial flume designation. The 2005 land use plan identifies land goals, objectives relating to commercial development specifically. These goals are to expand the opportunity for new commercial development in the city, create a more diverse economic base while increasing the retail growth within the city, and to redevelop and revitalize existing commercial centers and encourage infill development of vacant commercial land and use the existing built-out infrastructure. The subject property is currently surrounded by heavy industrial, which is the M2 zoning district to the north and west, and general commercial and agricultural to the east. The parcel is separated from parcels to the south by James River Expressway. The land uses permitted in the light industrial zoning district include general commercial uses, warehousing, manufacturing, and associated office uses. The parcel can be served by a 12-inch water main parallel to State Highway MM. Development of the parcel may require looping of the water main from MM to a 12-inch water main located on West Carnahan Street. The city's capacity to serve potential development at this location of the M1 zoning classification does have sufficient capacity. The sanitary sewer will flow directly to the Brookline North lift station. From there, it travels to McElhaney and Schuler Creek before being pumped back up to the wastewater treatment facility. The lift station and the wastewater treatment facility do currently have the capacity to serve light industrial development at this particular location. A traffic impact study was required, and we did review that in the builds department. We also shared this document with MoDOT as our partner agency. Subsequent review of the development plan will require transportation improvements and location of entrances into the development. Once we have the actual development plan, those particulars will become more defined. The subject parcel does not contain any areas of floodplain, and at the time I wrote this report, it did not contain any identified sinkholes. Since that time, we have received a sinkhole analysis that does indicate there is a sinkhole located on the eastern property line parallel to State Highway MM. So development of the parcel will require a 30-foot setback of that particular sinkhole. Staff considers the rezoning to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comp plan, consistent with the trend of development of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and our municipal facilities are able to serve. Based upon this analysis, staff is recommending approval of the application.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present and wishing to speak? Not seeing anyone.
She's present. We're getting her in.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
Okay. Give us your name and
Hi.
tell us all about it.
I'm Crystal Webster, and I'm with Morlock Family Limited Partnership. We're the ones interested in developing this parcel. And I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has or talk through any concerns. We've been working on this for a couple of months now, and we're excited about the project.
Okay. Once you make your statement, if you have one, and if you don't, or even if you do, then we'll move on, and we'll move into, at the end, the commissioners will all discuss it, and sometimes they have questions that occur to them based on what other people have said. So if you have something for us, I understand you obviously want the application to be approved. So
We certainly do. And what we will be proposing ultimately is a number of buildings of 2,500 to 5,250 square foot warehouse kind of multiplexes, if you will. And so it'll be consistent with what else you've got going on in the area. And I think it'll fill a need. There's not a whole lot of small warehouse area that's available for many miles around. And I think it'll be a good draw for Republic and a good project for us to build. So we are certainly in support of it and happy to do what we can to help the process.
okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Not at this time. All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in favor of the application? Chris?
We're not seeing anyone.
Okay. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to the application? Raise your hand.
We're not seeing anyone.
Okay. Then I'm going to close this hearing. Move to the commissioner's discussion. Ms. Webster, stay on. Somebody may have a question for you. Speak up, guys. What do you think?
Commissioner Phelps, I have two. I'm down in Memphis, Tennessee. Is the water line going to be looped? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, it will depend on the particulars of the development, but the water line is likely to be looped either back to itself along State Highway MM or directly to the north, connecting to a 12-inch water line on West Carnahan Street.
And then my second question, with this type of a development, multifamily cannot be put in for high density?
No, this is for M1, so no multi-family development would be allowed in the zoning district. It would allow for numerous commercial uses, light industrial, which does include warehouse, transportation, small office space, businesses very similar to that in the Brookline Business Park and directly south of James River Expressway.
Thank you very much.
Do we know what kind of traffic impact? I know as the plans come out down the road, we'll have a greater view on that, but do we have an idea of what kind of impact we're looking? Does it match what we see in that area already?
We do. We do require a traffic impact study at the time of rezone. So this particular application did do a traffic study, which was reviewed by our city engineer. It did also take into account the traffic that will be generated in the area by the Amazon project to the south. That particular project will have 3 larger types of improvements on Brookline Avenue or State Highway MM that will potentially affect the traffic patterns in this area. This particular project, if they move forward with the warehouse and office type development, is likely to be required to have a turn lane improvement into the development. And both MoDOT and the City of Republic will work through those particulars at the time of commercial development permit application.
Thank you.
With what you were saying, Karen, I mean, are you talking about a widening of the entire MM? I mean, this is already a very busy road, and obviously with Amazon, it's going to be even busier. So, is that what we're talking about? A future widening of that road?
I think the overall scope of what the city is hoping to see with our partner agency is widening the areas that are not currently 3 lanes in MM on MM, along with the improvements, the 3 stoplights that will be placed along this corridor as part of the Amazon project. This particular development will not warrant 3-lane improvement outside of the parameters of the project, but it is likely to warrant a turn lane or turn lanes into the entrance to the development.
Thank you.
Are we only looking at just one entrance into the development, and or are we looking at multiple?
We have been working on several different scenarios with the applicant. I believe the last scenario that we looked at, it is limited to the current access point, which you can see on the vicinity map on the screen. There will be some intensity caps based off of square footage of buildings with only one entrance. I think right now they're proposing around 108 or 10,000 square feet of warehouse and office space. That type of density, we can do just the one entrance. Yeah, the one thing I will point out, you'll see a road which is actually the old State Highway MM that is directly west of what you see as the new Highway MM. That is the old road that was never taken out by MoDOT. That is likely to go away. It was just never completely demolished, but the entrance that you do see will likely be the entrance that they utilize for the actual development.
Any other questions, comments? I'd hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the application to change zoning classification to approximately 0.22 acres from agricultural AG and 18.97 acres from general commercial located northeast of the northeastern right-of-way line of Missouri State Road 360 to light industrial. In your second.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Brandon. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Hind,
Aye.
Commissioner Phelps,
Aye.
Commissioner Pedersen,
Aye.
and Commissioner Crosby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to the third item, third hearing. Rezone 21-001, public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 0.29 acres located at 2860 North Brookline Avenue to local commercial C1.
Thank you.
Who's got this one?
I do.
All right, Karen.
The property subject to the rezoning application, again, is comprised of 0.29 acres of land located at 2860 North Brookline Avenue. The City of Republic acquired the property, formerly the Village of Brookline City Hall, during the consolidation of Brookline a number of years ago. The property does not have a current zoning designation. As with all rezonings, we do look at the rezoning application in context with the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, and goals and objectives of the 2005 land use plan. So this particular location does have a FLUME designation of neighborhood commercial. This designation is a mixed-use area. It's described as retail and office uses, including small neighborhood shopping centers and isolated retail businesses. Goals of the land use plan include the expansion of opportunity for new commercial development in the city, to create a more diverse economic base while increasing the retail growth within the city, and to redevelop and revitalize existing commercial centers, encourage infill development of vacant commercial land using the existing built-out infrastructure. The subject property is currently surrounded by local commercial, which is the pink, to the north, east, and south, and then light industrial, which is the light blue, directly to the west. The land uses permitted in the local commercial zoning district include restaurant, retail, and office type uses. The parcel is currently served by an 8-inch sewer line on Hale Street and can be served by a 12-inch water main that's located on the east side of North Brookline Avenue, also known as State Highway MM. The sanitary sewer will flow from the parcel to the McElhaney lift station and then to Schuler Creek lift station before being pumped to the wastewater treatment facility. The city's water system, lift stations, and the treatment facility itself do have the capacity to serve potential new commercial development at this location. A traffic study was not required for the rezoning application due to several very recent traffic impact studies along this side of State Highway MM corridor, and then also the planned improvements along this area of Brookline Avenue, State Highway MM. Of those, I will mention the Amazon project. They will be installing a stoplight at the intersection of East Hale and North Brookline Avenue. That will be an entrance into their parking lot. So that improvement is planned and programmed to happen fairly quickly. As far as floodplain, there is no floodplain on this particular parcel, and it also does not have any identified sinkholes. Staff considers the rezoning application to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comp plan, consistent with the trend of development in the area, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be served by our municipal facilities. Staff is recommending the approval of this application.
Thank you, Karen. Is the applicant present? And if so, do you speak?
We are the applicant. Andrew Nelson is present, as well as Garrett Brickner and myself. We can answer any questions on behalf of the applicant.
Thanks, Karen. Just as a somewhat of an overview for the, I'm sure it might be on everyone's mind why the city would request to rezone their own property. As Karen mentioned, there's a quite a bit of improvements going to be required with the Amazon project. She mentioned the stoplight at Hale Street, along with the 3-laning of MM for the entire frontage of Amazon. And with that, we're donating a little bit of right-of-way along Hale to kind of facilitate those improvements. So the parcel itself, you know, our intent is really to dispose of it via sale or other transaction so that it might be utilized for a better use. The city, what's going to remain really has no purpose for the city. So we're looking at rezoning it to match the surrounding and potentially sell that property or dispose of it otherwise to facilitate other development.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the applicant? None? Let's go to anyone else that's in favor of the application. Chris, anybody holding their hand up?
Not seeing anyone.
All right, let's move to those opposed to the application. Please hold your hand up if you wish to speak. No one opposed?
Not seeing anyone.
That wishes to speak. All right, let's close that hearing and move to our discussion. What questions does the commission have, if any?
I do have a question. How old is that building? The City Hall, the old Brookline City Hall? I grew up a block away, and that white building's been there since I was born. So do we know how old that is?
Brandon, that's an excellent question. I do not know how old it is. I would guess probably since the 60s or 70s.
Okay. So not as old as when you go down Hill Street, the old Hills Market, the paper mill that burned down that was from like Civil War, like not in that era.
I don't believe so. The block, it is a block constructed building, so that would lend me to believe it was probably in the 60s.
Kind of a clue.
Yeah, it was popular.
And we're not using that for anything right now. It hasn't been used since we annexed the village, correct?
I believe sometimes it's used for extra storage for the Parks Department. I believe they were utilizing it last for some of their like Christmas decorations, the outdoor decorations. They have found a new location for those pieces of equipment.
When the city sells those types of buildings, where does that money go into? What fund? I'm just curious. Did I freeze?
Andrew, yeah, I think I would have to look, but I think it would go back to probably the Parks Department as it was being utilized as a part of their department. I'm assuming, and I would have to ask Jared, but I'm assuming he's had some level of investment in that property over the period of years that we've owned it. I will say that likely the improvements that we're talking about renders that building pretty much unusable for any future use. So it's likely that it would go away.
I'd like to make a motion to approve application to change the zoning classification of approximately 29 acres located on 2860 North Brookline Avenue to local commercial C1.
Fine. Do I hear a second?
We'll second it.
All right. You call the roll?
Commissioner Crosby,
Aye.
Commissioner Pedersen,
Aye.
Commissioner Phelps,
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
and Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Let's move to the fourth hearing, RUZN 21-002, public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 3.3 acres to 2-family residential and approximately 8.5 acres to multifamily residential located at 634 West Hines. Did I read that right?
Thank you.
All right, Karen.
Cedar Park Investments LLC has applied for the zoning classification change. Again, 3.3 acres of 2-family and approximately 8.5 acres of multifamily residential. This particular proposed rezoning change is a little bit different than most of ours. It is a rezoning configuration change that would change the R3 or multifamily zoning from 8.19 acres to 8.5 acres, and the 2-family or duplex zoning designation from 3.55 acres to 3.3 acres. The reconfiguration is requested to align with their proposed preliminary plat. As with all rezonings, we do look at it in context with the comprehensive plan and also the future land use map. We also look at it in context with our ability to serve the particular parcel. I do want to spend a little time going over this as far as the service. The subject property is currently surrounded by agricultural to the north, medium density single family residential to the east, agricultural to the west, and the multifamily residential R3 and medium density to the south. The land uses in the 2-family residential zoning district do include single family dwellings, 0 lot line dwellings, and the 2-family dwellings. The map that Chris has on the screen right now, the purple is the designation for multifamily or R3 zoning. And then the bright orange is the designation for the R2 or 2-family. So this is the current zoning, or this is the current zoning of the property. So currently R3 and R2 with agricultural, which is the bright green to the north. The parcel is currently served by a 6-inch water main at the termination of North Cedar Avenue and a 6-inch water main at the termination of West Red Maple Drive. Development of the parcel will require a looping of the water mains in this location. The water system does currently have the capacity to serve a residential development at this location. The sanitary sewer will flow from the parcel directly to the wastewater treatment facility, which is right down the road. The treatment facility does currently have the capacity to serve residential development at this location. The reference parcel does contain sections of water, sanitary sewer, and stormwater pipes that were installed in the ground by a previous developer. These utility pipes were never tested, accepted, or dedicated to the city. Development will require the testing of these systems and the construction of additional infrastructure to serve the development as needed and permitted through the review of infrastructure construction plans after the approval of the preliminary plat. As far as transportation, a traffic study was not required for this rezoning application due to a very small impact from this particular rezoning request. The transportation was actually considered during the initial rezoning of R3 and R2 over a decade ago. The parcel does not contain any special flood hazard area or floodplain, and the subject parcel does contain 2 identified sinkholes on the northern half of the property. As we know, the Republic City Code does require a 30-foot setback for residential development. So any development of the particular parcel will have that 30-foot buffer around both of those sinkholes. Staff does consider the proposed rezoning to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be served by current utilities in the area. Staff is recommending the approval of this application.
Is anyone here, anyone present from the applicant or the applicant themselves wish to speak?
Ransom,
Yes.
Commissioner Phelps, Karen and Chris, I need to step away from this.
Are you the contractor in this case?
I'm a consultant to the buyer.
Okay. So what you need to do is recuse and step back and not participate in the discussion. However, as a consultant, if you're to speak on behalf of the buyer, you can do so.
I will not be speaking on behalf. I will not be.
That's a good idea. If you just hang loose, we'll be on to another matter after this. Okay, let the record reflect that Commissioner Phelps is recusing himself from discussion in this matter. The applicant, is the applicant present and wishing to speak?
Yes, the applicant's here.
Okay, thank you. Would you identify yourself for us, please?
Yeah, my name's Umar Akhtar. We are the developers. Honestly, we just want to complete the project that was once submitted before to you guys. So what we are doing today, just realigning the zoning lines to meet our preliminary plat drawings.
Okay. Anything else?
That's about it for me. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
We may very well have that. Hang on, and we'll go next to anyone who's in favor. Heard your position. Anyone else that's in favor of the application and vote.
Another gentleman, Dave Bodine.
Discussion.
Dave, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Dave Bodine with Pinnacle Design Consultants, 304 West Erie Street in Springfield. As was previously mentioned, what we have here is a very slight realignment of the zoning to match the preliminary plat. It should be noted, and I totally respect staff's decision. You've got a great staff, the best in Southwest Missouri, in my opinion. But it should be noted that previously, back 10 years ago, this was, by current staff at that time, it was noted to be insignificant enough to readdress, and they just went on and approved the construction drawings in the preliminary plat based on the zoning that's in place now, even with the minor changes. The changes came about when we originally zoned this project based on an estimate of what the architect would want to do. When the architect got involved, of course, they put a little romance into it and just put some curve into the street. And so basically what this is doing is aligning the zoning lines to match up with the proposed that we're proposing in the preliminary plat. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to address.
We may hang in there when we go to our discussion after we've everyone in the hearing. Someone may have a question of you. Anyone else in favor of the application that wishes to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone who is opposed to the application that wishes to speak?
Yes, Commissioner, I have 2 written statements from opponents that were not able to attend the meeting this evening.
Okay, we'll receive those in the record. Go ahead and read them if they're not too long.
This is Kit and Cindy Hoffpower at 623 West Pabo Lane in Republic. They have several concerns. One, a large apartment building located only 25 feet from their property line. This distance makes more sense for single-family homes in a subdivision. We feel our quality of life and use and value of our single-family residents will be negatively affected. If the distance could be increased to 40 feet, that would make the impact less. Noise, with a large complex in close proximity to a home due to the number of people and vehicles. Number 3, stormwater runoff. Our yard and home could be flooded due to the parking lots and large roof areas. Number 4, traffic concerns. A large number of additional vehicles causing fumes and noise. Also increased traffic on major highways and street access to and from the apartment complex. And 5, actual construction. They are asking whether enough safeguards for dust and debris blowing onto adjoining properties, and concerned with the constant noise of construction. And that is end of statement number 1.
Okay.
Statement number 2
Yes.
is from Joyce and Mike Lopez. They are located at 4686 South Westwood Drive. I'm just going to read this verbatim. As a resident near this parcel for rezoning, I would like to make a few comments requests. We are in a neighborhood where homes have been built on 5 to 10 acres. These lots with new residents in the area. I believe I can speak for them to say that we moved to this area to be away from more densely populated areas such as apartment complexes and crackerjack pop-up housing developments. Not comfortable having apartments in our backyard. Number 1, I understand that this parcel was already rezoned for multifamily housing about 10 years ago. Somehow we missed that rezoning meeting. We have lived in the neighborhood for about 15 years. My request is that this housing be built as a more well-maintained, upscale complex than those currently in place that resemble, to me, to be just one step from low-income housing. I also understand that the traffic studies were done at this time for the original rezoning. Those would be sorely inadequate for use for consideration at this time. Number 2, during my conversation with a staff member last week, it is my understanding that a portion of the parcel that fronts Hind Street to the north will remain agricultural and will not have direct access to the apartments on Hind. Please keep this in place. Hind at this point is not set up to handle this level of traffic. It can barely handle what currently passes on it today. I can't imagine that the neighborhood where the street will be connected to the east will be improved by this increase in traffic as well. Number 3, please take into consideration the flooding drainage issues in this area. Typically, development does not improve those issues. We already see an extreme amount of flooding across that area going north into our neighborhood. Most of the properties on the east side of Westwood currently see flooding anytime that is a significant rainfall. Of course, sinkholes in the area do not help this concern. Please make plans to divert your drainage somewhere other than our backyard. Is there a way that it can be diverted to a lagoon or into the city sewer system? And number 4, thankfully our property is somewhat removed from the issues mentioned earlier since our home set to the north. But we have already seen increased issues dealing with traffic, crime, etc., from the number of people who have recently moved into the area. We will just need to see increased security, police presence, infrastructure improvements from the county, etc., with the addition of complex of this size. Personally, I would much prefer seeing duplexes, patio homes, or senior living developments in apartment complexes. Thank you.
One more call on anyone opposed. Is there anyone opposed? If so, raise your hand. We'll allow you to
We
speak.
have a few people. I'm going to go ahead and just unmute them one at a time and give each a chance to speak.
Okay, go ahead and tell us who they are, if you can tell.
The first is Cameron and Amy Paradin.
Yes, I'd like to comment in opposition to this. I live on 4894 South Westwood Drive, and everything the last two people have read in their letters is correct. This area floods horribly bad already the way it is from all the runoff from Sandstone subdivision. And this would only multiply the effects that we get from rainstorms. I've lost 2 acres of land at the beginning of this year that was underwater for about 2 months due to all the flooding. I've had to replace an air conditioner. Some pumps quit after pumping out water for a couple weeks straight all day and all night. So I can't imagine how much worse this will get.
Anything else? Thanks. Anyone else opposed who wishes to speak?
I'm going to unmute Shannon Wise, give him an opportunity to speak. Mr. Wise, you'll have to choose. You'll have to push the unmute button. I'm offering it up to you.
He unmuted just briefly and then he popped back on to mute, guys.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay,
Mr.
there we
Wise,
go.
ahead.
Sorry about that. I'm Michael Wise. My wife is Shannon. We live at 540 West Meadows Drive. Pretty much covers everything else that everybody else has said. I live on the southwest or southeast corner of that. I guess when they started this, 10 years ago, there was a sediment basin or a retaining basin beside me. By DNR standards and by the city's standards, they filled that in, and that's against DNR standards and the cities. And for the last 8 years, it flooded my backyard considerably. I mean, I can put my canoe in the backyard. I'm not in the floodplain. It's been raised up 4.5 feet above my property. Still, I've worked with Andrew. I think Andrew's on here. Nelson. They finally put a 42-inch. Well, actually, they pumped a 42-inch pipe into my backyard. They redid it, which I haven't really had any problems, but between me and the berm that's been built, we still get flooding there. So not only for me, but you're talking about people down on the Logan Street. You're increasing more. They already have a huge problems of flooding down there. It would be nice to, I don't know what if you add something else in there, there's going to be more flooding for them also.
It's the safety issue.
And the safety for everybody here too.
I think our concern is also how they're going to be accessing this property. And our street, which is Butternut, and then it dead ends into Meadows. I'm concerned. I don't know where the access is going to go in as well for safety. I mean, we're a single family homes with a lot of children, and on top of the flooding, the safety for the families, the traffic, Hinds can't support that. And then the access, is that going to come through our neighborhood and our street can't support that. We already have a lot of cars that park along Butternut. Any given time of the day, anyone that drives down the street could see that. So then you're adding all of that through traffic. I mean, like Michael said, I mean, there are just multiple concerns, safety hazards, and then you've got the construction, these companies that are going to be coming in and out, and the traffic, and then the dust, the settling, like they were talking about too in the neighborhood. So we had rented our home for a little bit, and now we are back here. And like Michael said, we finally got the city out, and the flooding, we believe, is under control, but we don't want to go back to where we were. And we worked with the city off and on multiple times. So I just think it's a recipe for disaster for some homes over here.
Yeah, and adding something to that section that's right beside us where it used to be a retaining basin, it's just going to, if you build something there, it's going to increase water flow on top of us.
So, and we're not even in the floodplain. So, but
that's all we have.
That's all we have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak against?
Hey, Ransom, I need to pause you real quick. Hey, we had another commissioner bounce off. Do we still have a quorum with Randy not being on? Before we move on?
Yes.
They just texted and said that they bounced off. I'm just trying to make sure before we move on with the hearing.
Coming back?
Yeah, they said they'd be right back, but they got disconnected. So I see me and Ransom. I see Kevin. I see Chris. I don't see Eric. I don't see Eric on here yet. Is four commissioners enough for a quorum? I'm just general question here.
I don't know the answer to that.
He'll be back in a second.
Okay, I don't know if you guys want to continue to proceed.
Well, we don't if we don't have a quorum.
Yeah, we need
you can't. Everybody that wants to speak against has the right to have a quorum hear this, or we can't make the decision. Now, have we got a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Okay, if we have a quorum, we can go on. Now, Eric is not going to be able to vote unless we wait.
Eric's back.
Did he pop in?
Yeah,
Perfect.
he's coming back in.
Let's let him get in. That's perfect.
There he is.
Okay. All right, we got it. We're back to as many as we can get, except for Randy.
Go 5.
Okay, now, is there anyone else that wishes to speak who is opposed to the application? Raise your hand.
There are more individuals. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Samantha. Samantha Switford, I think. Swinford.
Okay.
Can you go ahead and unmute yours?
There you go.
Hi, I'm actually James Swinford. I've been a part listening with my wife Samantha Swinford. We are on Butternut as well. We have been here long enough to remember the previous developers' actions when they started the process. It was not a good experience to the point where we feared for our children being out in the road because of the developers who would come through, not only tearing up the street, leaving debris everywhere where they weren't able to even play outside, but they were a safety hazard that we feared for our children being outside because of the recklessness that they left in their wake. Part of the reason that we chose to live where we did was the curb appeal of having this quiet neighborhood with a dead end where we knew that there was not going to be reckless driving at that point. I understand that there's a need for progress in every situation, but that allowing this to continue takes the right of what we perceived as a homeowner of safety for our children. It takes that away from us. And I don't feel that's a fair action to us, especially when previously it was approved. It didn't work for whatever reason. I won't even get into that, but allowing it to now try and continue again does not seem like it's fair to those residents who have been loyal members of the community who have already dealt with wanting to develop this area. and have had the safety issues, not only with the flooding that some of our neighbors have already talked about, but also the safety issue for just the general welfare of those on the neighborhood. So we are concerned when it comes to that. And if that were the case, that would be something that would, unfortunately give us cause to reconsider where we do live, including the township of Republic, which we don't want to do that, but we feel like this is something that is being taken from us when it's already been tried and failed. And that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak opposed to the application?
The next individual who will be speaking is, I just have the name Robert. I don't have a last name. So when I unmute you, if you please introduce yourself, first and last name, and your address for us.
Okay, has that got us?
There we go.
All right, I'm gonna speak.
Rice.
This is Robert Rice and Jewel Rice, 419 Butternut. I'd like to speak for myself and my neighbor who sent a registered letter. I didn't get a chance to get it to you guys, but he reflects my exact opinion, so I would like to read this. We respectfully object to the zoning designation of approximately the 3.3 acres that we're discussing on West Hines. Our house, and we've lived here the same amount of time as they have. Our house was one of the first houses built on Butternut, and we have resided here since 2003. We purchased our home. It was our understanding that duplexes and single residence housing would be built on said parcel above. We have attended several zoning meetings in the past stating concerns. The roadway on Meadows that was open to the existing apartment complex. That roadway has since been blocked off, eliminating traffic and foot traffic, ensuring the safety of the children in our neighborhood. Our other area of concern is the runoff of water into our backyard from the area directly behind our house and existing apartment complex. Lastly, we are overly concerned about the devaluation of our property that the proposing zoning will surely influence. We've also had dirt dumped in our backyard, not in our backyard, but in the field directly behind us. We sit on the east fence line, and it has, in that aspect, already caused flooding problems in our backyard. So we're seeing that, and we haven't even started any construction yet. So we have the same concerns as everybody else, basically.
Yeah, and the last one guy that talked with all when they were going in and out, I don't know what road that is. What road is that down there? Logan. When they were going in and out, the construction workers, like he said, there was stuff all over our road, chunks of rock, stuff like that. And we don't really know where they're planning on coming in. We have small kids in the neighborhood. We're concerned about that and traffic in our neighborhood. Apartment buildings are, the value of our house is going to go down if we have apartment buildings right in our backyard.
That's all from us.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak who's opposed to the application?
The next speaker is first name Tim. I don't have a last name. I'm going to ask you to unmute in a minute, and if you please introduce yourself, first and last name, and your address.
Hello. We're Tim and Callie Wilkins. We live on 507 North Butternut. We've been here 15 years. We're right dead in the center middle of North Butternut. We are just in agreement with everything that's already been addressed. The traffic coming through, how many children play and run around on our street, the noise that it would cause. We have the Cedar Place, at the end of Butternut, and you can stand outside and hear people down there, even though we're not, it's right next to them. How it's going to affect our property value of our home. The majority of our street are homeowners. So when you buy a home, that's not something you're really hoping to have to consider if apartments and duplexes are going to be built directly behind you. What else? Anything else? The drainage pipe is right in our backyard where all the water rushes down when the neighborhood floods. So it all comes through the very back of our backyard. And the man that is developing it, could he answer us? Would they be using butternut to develop just to connect to those? Like whoever rents from them, would they be using our street to go to the duplexes and apartments?
We'll ask him that question.
Yeah, because we got like probably 12 to 15 different kids that go up and down this road
Small children, there's older children too.
all the time. And so you got construction crews going through there and then potentially traffic. It's just a recipe for disaster eventually, I think.
And the last time they did this, we had trees knocked onto our property, a dirt pile. We looked at it for years. Because I don't know. It's just,
yeah.
There's a lot of concerns and we're definitely opposed to it.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to oppose to the application and wishes to speak?
Next speaker will be Dana Underwood. If you please introduce yourself and go ahead and give us your address when we unmute.
Yeah, my name is Dana Underwood. My wife is Melanie Underwood. We live at 4860 South Westwood Drive, which is north of the site location that you guys are discussing tonight. Our primary concerns are number one, the impact to our property with the flooding concerns that a lot of people have already addressed is that there's kind of a low area that just holds water, which would be to the east of our property, and it affects the backside of our property. And anytime there's a significant rainfall, that fills up in ponds and holds water for quite some time. If there was any extra sediment or erosion from this side, it could potentially help to plug that area even more and cause it to drain even slower. My neighbor Cameron Parrott, and he definitely depends on his property for livestock resources, and that's a tremendous impact to him through the year to reestablish any kind of greenery or grass for his livestock to feed on. Another major concern of ours is the impact to Hind Street traffic. There are several narrow areas down through there where you definitely have to slow down and use caution already. When you meet cars, no sidewalks. You know, if there may be kids coming in and out of apartments, which I assume there will be if we have that kind of influx of population and residents in the area. There's no sidewalk down Hind Street down through there, and that's just a recipe for disaster, if you're asking me. I believe that you already have to use quite a bit of caution getting in and out of town from the city limits. And we travel that frequently. Outside of that, it's just, property value. We have, 5-10 acre lots out in the Westwoods area. And it's a great area, close to town, convenient, but still we have that country feel. And we just are concerned about anything that could be detrimental to that and our property value.
And I would like to add that I think that this might be an opportunity for someone to talk to the school district, because there are a number of kids who wait along Hind Street to catch their bus. And that street is so narrow that in the mornings you have to drive through at almost a crawl to avoid hitting kids. And I just cannot imagine what that is going to be like if we double or triple or quadruple the number of kids that are waiting for the bus stop. It is unsafe as it is right now, and this is going to make it horrendously worse. And I think if anybody spoke to the school, which I believe Schofield, that's what our school district is, that they would agree that that is a nightmare during school pickup and drop off. And adding multi-residential homes is going to make it a serious safety issue for kids in this area.
What I'd like to add to that is what is the impact to the school system in that district if they add that many more multifamily units to the area? Could that potentially impact I know the elementary schools are doing a constant shuffle as it is to try to, keep kids and in classroom sizes to a size that they can accommodate and take care of. Is that going to have an impact on the school systems to bring that into a building? I'm talking particularly about the elementary schools.
We don't consider that. It's not an issue that we deal with. That's an issue that the schools deal with.
So
do you deal with the safety issue of kids riding on buses
Look
and
at it
waiting
on
along the
basis
side of the
of-
street?
We look at this on the basis of the ordinance.
So we don't weigh when we're making a decision that will affect the community. You don't weigh the school systems, which is a primary draw to this town. I'm certain.
I'll just tell you that the schools will receive additional school tax money because of the new construction.
Yes, sir.
It's nice to know the Republic is putting the students and children of our city first. And by the way, my mother served on this committee for many years.
I'm sorry I said anything.
Anyways, that's our.
I was trying to help. I was trying to guide you to. I was trying to guide you to an area that we have responsibility for. And these things are complicated, but that's the nature of the beast.
That's our statement, and we oppose the building of multifamily or apartment style complexes on that property. Thank you.
I understand that. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
The next speaker is Gail Phile. I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce your name. If you please pronounce your name for us and then let us know where you live before you make your statement. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
My name is Gail Phile. I live at 514 North Butternut. I've been a resident here since 2011. I bought this home because it was on the edge of town. It looked like a quaint place to live and probably retire. I have had also problems with drainage. I suppose I agree with everyone in that engineering good drainage systems for any city is very important. And they've lost my trust as far as that's concerned, as per the conversations that I've heard tonight and in the past years. I've had trouble with flooding as far as my neighbor's backyard is flooded half the time, which comes into my yard, and I can't grow trees for privacy. I've had problems with mosquitoes, and I'm sure many on this will also agree. Mosquitoes have become a real problem around here, so much so I just invested in a screen porch. I can't enjoy the summers like I used to enjoy. I don't know really what's changed over the past few years. It doesn't work. The traffic in the area does concern me in that I know at least 10 children under 15 years old that walk up and down, going to the bus, just living their lives. It's another big draw, and my property did appraise well. I wanted to continue doing that. I guess that's all really I have to say. So I am against multi-dwelling.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to the application?
The next speaker is Megan and Kyle Gerhardt. If you please let us know where you live, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
We are Megan and Kyle Gerhardt. We live at 532 West Meadows. We have been at this property for 10 years. We were here when the prior construction consultant attempted to build, and it failed miserably for many different reasons. We had several noise complaints. We had big machine, tractors, and large equipment parked in our driveways. They all congregated at the end of the road on lunch hours and break hours, blocking driveways. The hours of work were extremely early to extremely late. Several times we complained to the city about the loud noises and children not being able to sleep because of that. The traffic, like everybody else has said, Hinds does not support the traffic for a multifamily behind us. It is already busy. There are, like they said, multiple families. Our backyard, we are actually right in front of the floodplain. We are also on the southeast corner, right next to the Wises. Our backyard floods horribly. It has improved a little bit, but so much as it rotted a portion of our privacy fence, which we had to remove because it was sitting in standing water so long because of the flood. Our backyard still does not have a privacy fence on that because it cannot adequately stand the flooding that occurs, spring after spring. I mean, for those reasons, my husband has a couple additional points that he would like to bring up.
Yeah, I think I just want to expand on the traffic on Hinds, what everybody else has already said. But, I'd like to see the city's position on what they are thinking as far as infrastructure to Hinds. Westbound Hinds is already in a non-repairable condition. There's 3-inch gaps along that side of the road. So if you drive any decent vehicle that you'd plan on keeping, you almost have to drive in the left-hand lane, oncoming traffic lane, to get through that. The city's done nothing to attempt to repair Hinds as it is now. So let's say that we're adding a multifamily structure. What are their plans to come in and improve the road, sidewalks that have already been mentioned, and et cetera. The city have kind of already made a bad decision like this in the past with Pinewood Park Apartments. It's a multifamily that's tucked with a one-way exit through a residential single-family home as well. Through the years with that complex, the single-family homes complained so much that the city had to go back and redevelop the road and add speed bumps and other concerns. So, I mean, I think this is something that's already been tried and didn't work out for Republic. And then Republic, had to go back and try to fix it. But it's really horrible for those residents that have to deal with that in that part of the town as well. So we oppose it, as we don't want to see that happen to our neighborhood. So.
That it?
That is all.
Now we're checking.
Thank you. We know you.
I think Andrew would like to comment, and then I'll have just a short comment if you may.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
I believe Andrew wants to comment.
Okay.
Just a couple of things I need to clarify. I appreciate Mr. Wise, his comments on the stormwater. He's been very good to work with us on some repairs that we made looking back to that first attempt at development. So on the stormwater, it's something we're very well aware of, and it's something that in the development they obviously will have to address in a manner that does not create any additional adverse impact to anybody downstream. Certainly, when you have homes in this close of a proximity to a floodplain, it becomes a challenge, but it's something we're well aware of. The second thing I want to mention, we do evaluate traffic studies and traffic impacts based on safety. So we do that with the school in mind. We take just about, as staff, we take just about every possible safety consideration you can imagine into consideration when we make a recommendation. So all those things are definitely thought through. One of the other things that I wanted to mention is that, and Karen, you may comment on this in your comments, but if this owner chooses to re-engineer their plat, so to speak, to match the zoning as it exists today, they can proceed forward with the zoning designation as it is. And Karen, I'll let you speak to that. I'm not sure if you were planning on speaking to that, but be aware that this property does carry a zoning designation already that allows development.
Yeah, that was my understanding. My understanding was this was a change to configure the property to meet the infrastructure that had already been built.
Yes, thanks. Chairman, if I may, I have just a couple of quick comments. The zoning change from R2, what it is currently, to what they are proposing is 0.25 of an acre. That's a decrease. It is increasing on the multifamily, the R3, by approximately 0.031 acres. So what we are asking as far as our rezoning request and staff's recommendation, it's really twofold. It is to change the current R2 from 3.55 to 3.3 acres, and then also to change the R3 from the 8.19 to the 8.5 acres. That is our recommendation. I also have one quick comment regarding the schools. Although it's not presented in this report, we do report monthly to the school system on all new residential development. We have a multiplier for residential, both for multifamily and also for single family, that we utilize to estimate or project increases in students for residential development. So because both the two family and the R3, the multifamily, is considered a multi-family development, that multiplier is 0.2. So if I just did the math really quickly, based off of what they're proposing for the R2 and R3 as part of this development, we're looking at an increase of a maximum of 33.5 students in the school system. So that is the projection off of the maximum number of dwelling units that are possible for the R2 zoning district, and then also the maximum possible number of units per acre for the R3 zoning district. That's all I have. Again, I do want to make that clarification. If you are to go with our staff recommendation, it is twofold. It is the change on the R2 side from for a total acreage of 3.33, and then a total acreage for multifamily, the R3, to 8.5 acres.
Did we exhaust all the folks that have objections? Is there anyone else that has objections?
No other hands raised.
Okay. Sorry, you may have said that earlier. I just didn't hear it. So let's close this hearing and move to the discussion portion. Questions from the commission?
I have a question, Ransom. The preliminary plat, what was drawn up when, I've heard a decade, I've heard 12 years ago. Do we have any idea when that was actually approved? The preliminary
right around
plat.
2011.
2011 is when it got rezoned.
That was
Okay.
when the plat was originally approved. Yes, it is since expired.
Okay, that was my question. So they're putting out a different preliminary plat. I don't have a preliminary plat in my packet. Did we already approve that, or?
No, so this is the first step to their development. They have multiple steps. The rezoning realigns according to what they are planning on the preliminary plat. If the rezoning is successful, they will be coming forward with a preliminary plat showing the exact configuration of where the new roads, the infrastructure, the lots for the R2, and then the lot for both the agricultural zone property to the north along Hind, and then the R3 property. But that is not under consideration this evening. It's simply a rezone.
No, okay. So, and I'm saying, I do understand some of this, but I'm going to say it for everybody in the Zoom call. This is not an approval of the preliminary plat. We don't even know what their intentions are. This is literally just a rezone for a small section of property that 100% has already been rezoned, right? Like we're just filling in a gap with a small piece of property that's already multifamily. We're taking two family and we're moving into multifamily. Is that correct? Is that an accurate assessment?
Like a very
Correct.
small
This
change.
rezoning change is simply for the .25 R2 change and the .31 R3 change. As Andrew did indicate, should this rezoning fail or they decide to pull out from it, they can proceed with an altered preliminary plat without any type of further approvals on the rezoning side.
So, okay. So, well, they'd still, because the original preliminary plat, so you're stating they can do a preliminary plat that fits the current zoning and it actually wouldn't come back to this commission.
Correct. And as you all are aware, preliminary plats are not public hearings. They must only meet the requirements of the city ordinance for preliminary plats. You will be reviewing it for recommendation to council should they decide to move forward with a preliminary plat.
Absolutely.
I guess I have a question. I mean, 3 points. One, a statement being the Planning and Zoning Commission bases their review and recommendations off of essentially ordinances and rules already in place. The city council, who eventually would approve any future development, they're the ones that would could vote up or down depending on what they believe the community wants or not wants. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. In part, if I understand you correctly, the planning and zoning is only a recommending commission. So you're making a recommendation based off of public testimony and evidence. That recommendation is then used by city council for an actual decision.
Okay. I'm going to break. Can I break that down into layman's terms? We don't have the we don't get to vote our conscience in the planning and zoning committee. We have to vote based on the facts that are given, pieces of evidence and citizen testimony. I'm aware of that. I think it's important, just based on some of the other testimony that was given today, that they understand that this is not a recommendation, that this isn't our viewpoint or our opinion. This is based on city ordinances and laws that have been in place already.
Yes, and testimony and evidence presented during the public hearing.
And the current zoning that's already been decided some time ago.
Okay, my two other questions. One being the drainage issue. I have some experience with dealing with drainage issues and plans, and a lot of times the city would, upon future approval of any said plans, recommend or require the developer to deal with that drainage. Is that correct? Onto other properties?
Yes, during the preliminary platting process, they will have to indicate detention basins to serve the stormwater needs of the actual development. They'll also be required to show where the outflow from that development will occur. So yes, there are strict guidelines in our city ordinance as far as the requirements for stormwater collection, stormwater detention, and then any right-of-way dispersal of that stormwater in the right-of-way.
Okay, so this could actually help downstream property owners potentially.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not to have a negative impact. So this development should not have a negative impact on any type of stormwater issues in the area.
I suspect because everyone spoke quite a bit about downstream drainage, and I sympathize with you because, I mean, it's not something that you want to have as a homeowner, but it's my understanding that this development, the measure of this development is that you don't put out more water than already crosses the downstream properties. Is that essentially correct? Negative impact. So whatever's happening now, at least arguably, and I'm only saying this so everybody would understand it. Whatever's happening now, this property does not have to take responsibility for. They just can't give you more water.
Yes, and Andrew can add some additional details. He's got a quick comment regarding stormwater.
Thank you. Yeah, Ransom, you're correct. The intent of the ordinance is that any improvements would control the release of any additional stormwater such that it would be equal to or less than pre-development. So essentially, we evaluate their stormwater improvements through their preliminary plat process and through their engineering to make sure that there is no additional impact. So again, I'll just state that we're aware of the ongoing concerns, and I would call it a heightened awareness even as compared to a lot of other developments. Like I said, and Wise mentioned that we've worked on some drainage improvements in the area already. So it's something that we definitely will be evaluating closely.
And my last point, so sorry for it being long, but the traffic, I always talk about traffic because that's near and dear to my heart with some small kids myself and being along Lynn. What is the city doing to address some of the concerns with no sidewalks, kids, narrow roads, and items like that? I would like to hear some of those answers to those questions.
The short answer is yes. It's not indifferent than a lot of streets in Republic. Hinds is definitely a street that we've identified as a priority for improvement. But it's tough. So when you think about Republic and you think about what we've got going on in the growth, the transportation funding at the moment is tended to be focused on more impactful intersections or where traffic is concentrated. So we prioritize based on the amount of users on a road. So, I mean, I would tell you that West Hinds is one that we've identified that needs improvement, one that needs widened, needs sidewalks connected to the developments that are already along there. It's just a matter of funding and putting it where the most need is at the moment. So, you're going to see the city focused on intersections like 174 in Maine, MM and 60, things like that. But it's identified. I can't speak to a schedule of widening or sidewalks. It's a priority. It's something that we're aware of.
My question, the reason why we did not do a traffic impact study here was because because it's already zoned that way. We're just making small changes. So that's why it says a neglectable impact. Do we have access or the ability to see that traffic study from 9-10 years ago?
I'd have to ask Chris what we have available from the original development, but it's what you said about why it wasn't required for this particular rezoning is correct. The impact of the change is negligible as compared to the zoning that already exists. I'm not saying that there is no impact to the streets adjacent, because there certainly is. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is this zoning change from what it is today doesn't change the impact that's already been approved.
But we will take into account this whenever they put in for their preliminary plat, which I'm assuming they already have a drawing ready to go.
Yes,
it
is.
A drawing, a traffic study will not be required at that point.
So I'm about to make a motion, but I do want to put out one more statement, just to be very clear. A vote aye changes the zoning to meet the plat that they're about to put forward. If a vote no, there's still going to be a development. I just want all my commissioners to understand that we're not stopping this. I mean, it's been asked and answered. So the vote yes literally just changes it so that they can go forward with a different plat than previously put forth. So I just want to throw that out. I do have a motion. And I've lost
just, I think Dave, who is the, and I don't know if I see him raising his hand, but do we want to give him an opportunity? I know he already spoke for, but as the engineer of record, is there anything we want to give him the opportunity to address?
Sure. If it'll help bring information to the folks that are living around this and want to know how it works.
Just a quick point, especially to Commissioner Andrews' earlier questions. Yes, there is a preliminary plat, and the preliminary plat and the construction drawings match exactly what we submitted and was approved in 2011. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's no addition of any units. There's still 6 duplex units, 6 R2 units on the east side, and there's no addition to any apartment units from what was previously submitted on the preliminary plat and construction drawings.
I know that we're going to see the plat one way or another probably, but is there buffering in this between yours, and is that required? I can't remember.
Yes, there is required buffering between multifamily, duplex, and single family and agricultural. Those areas of screening and landscaping will be on the preliminary plat.
If I heard, I'm sorry, I'm scanning over for names. Is that Dave Bodine? Is that correct? If I'm understanding him correctly, his plat is the exact same. When this was originally passed in 2011, if I'm understanding him correctly, we were like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, we'll just go ahead and proceed. Now that it's been 10 years past, have a little bit more, we're a little bit more strict on exactly how that goes, which, thank goodness for that. Is that accurate? Did we just, we passed that plat with not changing the zone? Is that, I guess I'm pointing this towards staff. Is that accurate?
Yes, that appears to be what happened.
Okay. No harm, no foul kind of thing. So I understand. I understand that. So the preliminary plat. Okay. No, I'm done with my questions. I would like to make a motion, if there's no other comments.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I'll ask a question real fast. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So the current zoning fits the description for the duplexes, right, Karen?
The current zoning allows for both an area of duplexes and an area of R3 or multifamily, yes.
But
on the map that the orange is the R2 or the duplexes, and the purple is the apartment.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to make a motion again. I'm going to make a motion of approval for REZN 21-002, the public hearing, possible vote for an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 3.3 acres to 2-family residential and approximately 8.5 acres to multifamily residential located on 634 West Hines.
Is there a second?
Second.
Want to call the roll?
Commissioner Crosby,
Aye.
Commissioner Pedersen,
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn,
Nay.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
and Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to our new other business. Sub D pre 20-006 Oak Hills. Possible vote to recommend the approval of an application for a preliminary plat for Oak Hills residential subdivision consisting of approximately 48.5 acres at 7012 West Farm Road 170.
Thank you. Turner Residential Holding LLC has requested the review and approval of a preliminary plat for 48.5 acres. The subdivision is to be known as Oak Hills. It consists of 135 residential lots. They are zoned high-density, single-family residential. The plat also contains common area, detention, streets, and associated infrastructure. The property's location is 7012 West Farm Road 170. The property does currently contain one agricultural barn, and it has been used for agricultural purposes and is currently used for agricultural purposes. The city's technical review team reviews preliminary plats in accordance with the plat ordinance. Several items of note: the reference preliminary plat contains the 135 residential lots. They do have a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet, which is the minimum required by ordinance for high-density single-family. The lots themselves range in size from 7,115 square feet all the way to 19,942 square feet. The preliminary plat contains a new north-south collector that will be constructed as part of the development. The collector is identified on the city's transportation plan and also on the area's major thoroughfare plan. This connects Farm Road 170 directly to the south. The development itself connects to Heritage Street at Old Town at Kerr Place, which is the subdivision directly west of the subject property. It does contain 2 new entrances into the development and approximately 1.5 miles of street and sidewalk, which will be dedicated to the city upon construction and during the final platting process. A traffic study was submitted, reviewed, and approved as part of the original rezoning process back in 2018. The site is currently served by City of Republic Water and Sewer Services. The plat indicates connection to the 10-inch water main located parallel to Farm Road 170, to the 8-inch water main on the east side of Heritage Street, creating a looped water system. The development will connect to the existing 8-inch gravity sanitary sewer running west to east across the property. This does flow directly into the McElhaney lift station and then travels to the Sheila Creek lift station before being pumped to the wastewater treatment facility. Both the water system and the wastewater treatment facility, as well as the lift stations, do currently have capacity to serve the development. As far as the zoning code, we also looked at floodplain and sinkholes. The parcel does not contain any floodplain. It does contain 2 identified sinkholes on the southeast portion of the property. A sinkhole analysis report was submitted, reviewed, and approved during the preliminary plat process. Originally, we also looked at it during the rezoning process back in 2018. The Republic City Code does require a 30-foot setback, which has been indicated on the plat itself. The preliminary plat contains a stormwater detention area of approximately 1.75 acres. that's located in the northeast section of the plat itself. It is designed to control the release of stormwater from the development. The stormwater detention area and all open space and common area will be maintained by your homeowners association. And finally, upon approval of the preliminary plat, the design of streets, sidewalks, water, and the sanitary sewer systems, along with the stormwater detention area and associated pipes, will be reviewed and permitted during the infrastructure permitting process. Staff does recommend the proposed preliminary plat be in general conformity with the requirements for preliminary plats, and we are recommending approval of the application.
Okay, this is not a hearing, so we move to discussion. Anyone have questions, comments?
Pretty straightforward.
I'm trying to orientate my plat map with my vicinity map.
Yes.
I mean, is
plat
it,
before, right?
yeah, like, I mean, it's the top, the Oak Hills in the top of the page. Is that how it's oriented?
Yes, the road that you see at the top of the plat, that is Farm Road 170.
Okay, okay.
So if you look at the vicinity map,
No, I think I got it, Karen. Thank you. I appreciate that.
okay. Andy?
Comments?
I've got a motion to recommend the approval of the application for a preliminary plat for Oak Hills, a residential subdivision consisting of approximately 48.5 acres at 7012 West Farm Road 170.
So anyone going to second?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Call the roll.
Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn,
Aye.
Commissioner Phelps, Commissioner Phelps, Commissioner Pedersen,
Aye.
and Commissioner Crosby.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. That matter carried. Move to the next item, citizen participation. Anyone that wishes to speak to us concerning any matter that we haven't already discussed, and feel free to do so now. Hold up your hand. Chris will identify you and unmute you.
No.
A shake of the head, no. Moving to the next item, Community Development Department update, comprehensive plan update.
Andrew would like to speak.
I'm sorry?
Thanks, Karen. Just real quick, I wanted to mention, I don't know that we have any new updates for the comprehensive plan other than things are progressing. We're still looking at April, May timeframe for adoption, but I did want to just thank the commissioners tonight for the discussion. It's always, I guess, a good feeling for the staff when we have good discussion and good questions. So I appreciate everybody's participation tonight. I know we worked through, sorry if you can hear my son in the background. I know we worked through a lot tonight. And to be honest, when I saw the amount of people that were going to participate via Zoom, I was a little bit concerned, but it went really well. So I appreciate your patience and your input. That's all I have.
Appreciate your comments. And I too appreciate everyone's courtesy and respect during the time that we spoke. I apologize for misspeaking about the schools, but at the same time, I think the question I was asking that had to do with whether or not the schools had issues or something like that. And frankly, I know you all deal with the schools and go to the schools to find out things and keep them apprised. But the school doesn't have the ultimate responsibility to make this decision. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we adjourn?
Alabama's up 35-17 at halftime.
Oh, yeah, 17:35. Yeah.
17:35.
Not that I was preoccupied watching it, listening. I wasn't watching it. I was just.
It's hard to get notifications when you're on your cell phone.
Well, I'm too dang blind to be able to read the little thing about where they are on the field. So
We've had a meeting every single year when the national championship game was on.
That's definitely something to propose to staff. I'm glad this is still on the record.
I think
I'm
it's
so sorry about
a
that.
national holiday.
I do want to echo Andrew's thoughts. Thank you so much for your questions. We love having an active commission. So there are never any stupid questions. There's never too many questions. We want you to do that. So thank you again very much for doing that and participating. I know the ball game's on and we went a little bit over what I thought we would. Lastly, please turn in your findings of fact. So we sent a self-addressed stamped envelope in your actual packet. We need those filled out. Make sure you sign and date those. Drop them in the mail. Feel free to drop them off here at our office on Main Street. You can scan and email them to Chris or I. And last resort, you can text me a picture of them. We do need to make sure that we get those to council as quickly as possible. They will be reviewing the recommendations on January 19th.
Did anyone not get theirs in time for the meeting tonight? Okay, yours still didn't come, Chris. Okay. We'll make those available to you. We'll make those available to you. We'll have them up here at front. If you need us to bring them somewhere, we'll be able to do that as well.
I can swing by and grab them tomorrow on my way home from work and then get them done for you.
Perfect.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. That's all we have tonight.
And you're going to send, what's his name, over with the minutes for me to see. I have everything here.
I'll have to check them over tomorrow.
That'd be great. I'll be here.
Perfect.
All right. I hear a motion I thought I heard a motion to adjourn. Oh, and I heard a second too. I don't know who did it. You call the roll.
Commissioner Crosby.
Here, or I don't know which one I have to do on this one.
No, this is like, yes, I'd like to adjourn.
Yes,
aye.
I already messed up once today.
Commissioner Patterson.
Aye.
Commissioner Hahn.
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis.
Aye.
Commissioner Andrews.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Go watch the game.
Thank you, guys.
No problem. Thanks.